Pioneer pharmacist Anderson Jolly is dead at the age of 73. UNICEF launches global campaign to enhance child welfare, and International Diving Organization showers praise on Dominica's underwater attractions. I am MarpinNewsNov11th2k16 with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. Welcome back. Employees at the country's most prominent pharmacy are mourning the loss of its founder, 73-year-old Anderson Jolly. Here's more.
Anderson Jolly from the community of St. Joseph opened the doors of Jolly's pharmacy to the public in 1981, and since then it has become a household name in Dominica. Jolly passed away in North Carolina on Thursday evening after a short illness.
Mr. Jolly was the epitome of character. Mr. Jolly was really like a big father to all of us at Jolly's. Mr. Jolly was certainly not the tyrannic, autocratic type of leader. Mr. Jolly was very, very inclusive. He was never one to embarrass no staff openly. He was one to really embrace with you and laugh with you and make silly jokes with you. I think Mr. Jolly was just the greatest boss that anybody would have wanted to work for. It's really, really a sad day for us here at Jolly's. It's a sad day for Dominica by extension.
Public Relations Officer for Jolly's Pharmacy attributes the reputation of the company in Dominica and around the region to Anderson Jolly's work ethic.
He would always get the staff on board to ensure that the company grew collectively with collective ideas and creativity. Jolly's Pharmacy is now one of the largest pharmacies in the OACS, if not the largest pharmacy in the OACS. And it's by no mistake. It's really because of someone who persistently cultivated a culture of hard work, pays off. He certainly empowered his staff to give their best at all times. He believed in great customer service, not just good customer service.
The multi-sector contribution of Jolly's Pharmacy to Dominica did not go unnoticed by the government and people of the country.
He received an award from the government during independence time, and it was the way the government, on behalf of the people of Dominica, recognized the significant contribution that he has given, not merely just to the economy of Dominica, but to the entire social and health landscape of the island. He believed in Dominica. He loved Dominica. He loved every aspect of the Dominica's culture and what Dominica stood for.
Anderson Jolly's son, Orin Jolly, has been at the helm of Jolly's Pharmacy for the past 5 years. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Early childhood practitioners have been warned to get rid of the habit of operating in an old-fashioned way because, according to experts, times have changed. An early childhood symposium on Friday was an opportunity for early childhood teachers to hear how they should embrace new strategies. Gwyneth Cambridge, a senior education officer in St. Vincent who monitors early childhood centers, told teachers that they need to think outside of the box.
It has to be more than the money. And let me tell you, in St. Vincent, preschool is a money-making business. Is it that I've just got a downstairs of my apartment? And this is what was really channeling people to get involved in early childhood education. I've got a downstairs and nothing is happening there. I can make some extra money if I put in some desks and benches and I tell the persons in the community, I've got a preschool. What was happening is that we didn't discover some of these things until after the fact. I had to say, no, change that. Change it. You are dealing with the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Think outside the box.
Cambridge considers it a troubling situation and has been championing for change for the delivery of quality early childhood education.
And I want to say to you, and I told my practitioners, that Three things your preschool needs. You have to have a vision, you have to have your mission, and you have to have your values. If you're thinking of getting outside the box, you've got to realize you're foundation builders, but you can't build alone. You have to create a bridge between your early childhood center and the primary schools.
In related news, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has recently launched a global campaign to enhance the welfare of early childhood. One of the interests of UNICEF is good education systems for children and their protection. UNICEF's early childhood specialist, Shelley-Ann Harper, says the organization introduced a campaign called Early Moments Matter.
Early childhood is on the front burner of the government's interests, not only in Dominica, not only in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but across the region. But this campaign is going to allow us the chance to really ramp up, let's call it that, to use some dialect. We're going to ramp up the efforts on early childhood development. And here's the reason why. Basically, we have the research of the international community behind our efforts. There is a lot of research that's ongoing on early childhood development, but more importantly, on how the brain develops and how what we do in the early childhood sector affects that kind of development.
New Executive Director of the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, CARICAD, says creative ways to source funding for the regional body is top in his agenda. CARICAD, established in 1980, is a regional governmental organization that specializes in transforming and modernizing the public sector of Caribbean states.
We've been working on a new strategic focus for CARICAD, which takes account of the limited resources that we have available to us. CARICAD is funded by member states and also by donor funding. Given the challenges in the international environment now, donor funding has pulled back a bit, and so we're trying to work with the resources we have as best as we can. So we're coming up with innovative means to address the shortfalls.
Its Executive Director, Devon Rowe, highlighted that funding for the institution is a challenge due to the changing global environment, and the region must be innovative in how to get financial support for CARICAD.
CARICAD is no longer only the persons at CARICAD itself, but we are now looking at expanding our reach to those persons in the Caribbean who have skills, who can contribute, and utilizing in-service experts within countries to expand the technical expertise that is required to support countries. So we will be working in conjunction with in-service experts to expand on the services that are required.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for staying with us. Dominica's scuba diving experience is coming under high praise by an international diving organization. Andrea Louis has that story.
The Worldwide Christian Scuba Divers Organization visits dive sites around the world to explore the Earth's underwater wonders. A 12-member team from the organization paid its very first visit to Dominica this week, spending time at the various dive sites, and founder of the WCSDO says Dominica ranks very high on its list of dive locations.
The underwater is fantastic. The one I believe stands out more than any of them is Champagne. Is that where we did the night dive?
Yeah.
We have a group of 12 with us, and all 12 of them who have dove extensively all over the world have said that this is either their #1 night dive they've ever done, or it's in their top 3, which when you've dove hundreds of night dives in many parts of the world, to be able to say that, it has to be an awesome dive. And we saw
everything.
Everything. Every site had its own uniqueness to it. And it was relaxing, yet sometimes it was exciting because you had some currents and you'd move along with it. But just the variety of fish that you could see and the variety of just the small, tiny organisms.
The group's visit to the island was twofold, as they also engage in missionary work with the local Christian community.
The Deliverance Baptist Church is already working with the community in many ways, and they are one of their major things that they do is they build houses in many of the different areas in Goodwill and some other areas that for people that are either elderly, handicapped, or single moms with children and need a home. And we actually got a chance to go out, see one being built, met the people that were building them, that we also found out that half of their guys that were building were divers, so they're excited about joining our group, and we're excited that they can help us learn how they're doing it so we don't have to learn it all on our own. And yet we can bring a lot of other things to the table.
The Worldwide Christian Scuba Divers Organization plans to visit Dominica again next year, this time with a group of approximately 30. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Enforcement of new sexual offense legislation is not something that the NGO Coalition for the Protection of Children and Youth is taking lightly. The group is pleased with the changes in the law, particularly the mandatory reporting aspect and penalties for grooming of a minor and voyeurism. However, Philip Carlisle says they are also looking forward to the laws being put into effect. Carlisle sits on the coalition as first vice president of the Caribbean Male Action Network Dominica branch.
Unfortunately, over the years we've had laws that are on the books, but not put in effect. The NGO coalition will be a watchdog. Our voices will be heard.
Carlisle says their plan is to put some sort of pressure on the authorities to ensure the sex offense laws are enforced. The NGO coalition has planned to sensitize the public on the new legislation.
We will address, we will confront, not violently, calmly, nicely, confront the authorities. We will be an NGO asking why. Because if we've taken the first step, we should take it all the way. And yeah, we are not going to allow the Sexual Offences Act to just be law, but come into effect in all aspects, so that we have a healthier, stronger, and a more mental focused nation.
In other news, immediate past chairman of the dissolved Dominica Agricultural and Producers Limited, DAPEX, is refuting claims that shareholders were not notified of the winding up of the company. Some shareholders say they received no prior information of the plan to shut down the company. Grayson Stedman, who served as DAPEX chairman before its closure, told Channel 5 News there were notices on the main media outlets.
The bylaws said that you have to inform shareholders something about 21 days before the meeting. Notices were sent out and posted to shareholders. That is one. The notice was placed in the newspaper, the Sun newspaper. That is two. Notice was placed on Marpin TV. And notice was paid on Carry FM on DBS. So farmers were... At one time when I came to the first meeting, some farmers said that they do not go to the post office. So I can't take responsibility. But that is... So they were well informed about the meeting. What was very surprising me that some farmers said that they do not go to the post office, nor they don't listen to the radio. And their form of communication in the media is the smartphones, where they're on WhatsApp and so on.
The first meeting on October 24 to vote to formally dissolve the company was adjourned because there was no quorum. That's the minimum number of members that must be present to make the proceedings of that meeting valid.
So there was no quorum, so we had to adjourn the meeting, and the bylaw said that it must adjourn the meeting 7 days from at the same time and the same place. So we adjourned the meeting to the 31st of October. And the rule said that whoever turns up forms the quorum. So we did have the meeting, and we passed 2 resolutions at that meeting. One is to wind up the company, and the second resolution was to appoint a liquidator. whatever. So those two resolutions were passed. We're supposed to have had a meeting with the creditors, for the few creditors or so after the shareholders. We held out to the creditors. And it needs to mention that creditors of a company is not necessarily people you owe. Everybody, including if you owe staff, they become creditors too.
Plans are moving ahead to extend the work of the Maharishi University of Management here. Coordinators of the Advanced Meditation Program, Trinidadian Richard Robertson and his Brazilian wife, Janine, are currently on island promoting their work program as well as the school they are hoping to build here next year.
Our technique is a scientific technique. The Transcendental Meditation Program includes a very simple method, a very simple technique to eliminate stress. So we have been in Latin America and the Caribbean introducing projects into schools, particularly in Mexico, in Colombia, in Brazil, in Peru, in Bolivia. We have very, very big projects where the students now have the opportunity to practice this technique and reduce the level of their stress and tension, and therefore naturally have better grades, a better life, a life free of stress and strain.
Robertson assesses a similar program in Trinidad and Jamaica as a huge success.
Concerning the success of the program there, and then Dr. John will explain to you, her plans, for Dominica here, which we want to do in parallel to the efforts that we are doing in Jamaica at the moment. So it's a sort of a coordinated program that we are doing for the Caribbean as a whole.
Meanwhile, Director of the Meditation Program for Dominica, Dr. Lucia John, says the next step is to present a proposal to government. They also plan to teach at least 1,000 individuals meditation practices before the school is built.
No, we are doing the actual planning. The next step would be to approach our government. Because whatever we do, we want our government to be part of it. We want to be part of what the government is doing. Because this is, I think, the best way to develop any country. The government has its plan for the country, and we as citizens should take part and, just be behind them and see that these plans are established and succeed. So the next step would be to approach the government and put our proposal to them, let them see what we are doing, explain to them the benefits for the children and for the society, parents also and all that. Then we will go out and really go into the practical areas of setting up the school.
That's news. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Meantime, at a press conference on Friday, Minister for Sport, Honorable Justina Charles, said the Dominica Guadeloupe initiative has potential for sports tourism here.
Sports is becoming a business now, or it has been a business and growing because we appreciate the benefits to be derived from our sports tourism, the hotel sector, our people who provide the various meals, and the various people who will be having the natural beauties and attributes of Dominica that you'll be visiting and making like a contribution to. Our bus drivers, our taxi associations, all of those people benefit when we have visits from other countries, and you too will recognize that benefit when our cricketers visit your country.
Meantime, more football action continues this weekend with 4 games as we enter into round 2 of the 2016 Flow DFA Premier League. On Saturday, 5th place Bath State Football Club will come up against 8th place Middleham United at Geneva Playing Field from 3. At Dublin, it will be 2nd place Exodus FC against Waukee Rollers, who are in 9th position at 4 p.m. Playing on Sunday, defending champions Central Cooperative Credit Union Dublin Football Club, who occupies 3rd place, will do battle with 7th place Petro-Caribbean Point Michel at Geneva from 3. Finally, at Dublin Playing Field, league leaders Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers will clash with 6th place Caribbean Cool Harlem United at 4 p.m. Back with more cricket, where C. Pujara scored a century in the debut test for his home ground as MVJ complimented him with another century to take India closer to safety. Previously, the Indian team conceded 537 runs to England in the 5 sessions on a pitch expected to become difficult as the day progressed. Resuming on 63, India made 319 for 4 on Friday, with Vijay hitting 126 and Pujara 124 off 206 balls. The scores at the end of day 3, England 537, India 319 for 4 in 108.3 overs. More sports now. Dominica Fencing Association President Woody Lawrence says the recently concluded national tournament has opened additional doors of opportunity for the sport here. His comments follow the latest competition here, where Bajan fencers competed with Dominican athletes.
This was our second national tournament. When I first mentioned it, the president of the Barbados Federation expressed interest in coming. So I said, well, we'll see how many fencers we can handle. But then it sort of exploded, and they brought over a team of 7 fencers, and it was just an incredible response. The local fencers, it was really good to see them fence again. They're a little bit more experienced, Bajan fencers. The fencing program in Barbados is a lot more established than us, but this was also their first ever tournament. Next weekend, Barbados is hosting a tournament themselves, and we are sending over 1 fencer.
He says Lenvo Ambo was among the top athletes coming out of the competition.
He competed in the senior male category, and he was the one who just stepped up. Barbados agreed to fund the airfare, and he was the one who stepped up and said, okay, I really want to go to this. We also had some sort of outstanding performances too. We did get a few gold medals, a few silver medals, but of course you can see the quality of the Bajan fencers a little bit, better.
Finally, in sports, we can tell you that the 2016 Giant Malt National Rounders League returns on Sunday with 1 quarter-final match. ACS South defenders will take on Dubla Almond Stars at the Portersville Savannah at 12. The winner will go head-to-head with Maxroy Royal Challengers in 1 semi-final encounter, while Margot Cooperative Credit Union Stars and Rising Stars will meet up in the other semi-final. That's all the sporting highlights for now. I am Kenny Williams, wishing you an awesome weekend.
The weather forecast is next.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I will be your presenter for this evening, Farah Rockere. Today, weak and stable conditions was the dominant feature. Generally, partly cloudy skies prevailed across the Canefield station today. Let's move on now to some early infrared satellite imagery, and what we see is convection associated with the trough system to the southern portion of the Lesser Antilles. We move on now to some earlier visible satellite imagery, and what we see is some low clouds as well as some high clouds in the central portion of the Lesser Antilles, and also an area of multi-layer clouds to the southern portion of the Lesser Antilles, and that is associated with the trough system I mentioned earlier. We move on now to some earlier radar imagery, and what we see is a concentration of shower activity to the southern portion of the islands, and again that is associated with the trough system I mentioned earlier. Also, what we see is some scattered shower activity across the Lesser Antilles. The weather tonight is expected to be fair to partly cloudy with some brief showers, and these conditions will persist into tomorrow with maximum temperatures expected to peak up to 32 degrees Celsius. The marine forecast, well, sea conditions will be slight to moderate and waves are expected to be up to 7 feet. Let's take a look now at the weather for the next 3 days. Well, tomorrow Saturday fair to occasionally cloudy with a few brief showers. On Sunday, fair to partly cloudy with a few brief showers. The high pressure system will begin to re-establish itself by then. However, on Saturday night to early Sunday, some showers are expected. On Monday, an increasing cloudiness and shower activity is expected, and that is due to the approach of a weak low-level trough. Let's take a look now at the weather for the Caribbean. Well, fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers is expected for most of the islands of Lesser Antilles, with some cloudy skies with some showers and thunderstorm activity expected for the southern portion of the islands. Let's move on now to the international city forecast. Well, the cities of New York and Miami can expect beautiful sunny skies, partly cloudy skies anticipated for London and Beijing, and the city of Caracas can expect some overcast skies with some showers and thunderstorm activity. The sunrise tomorrow at 6:06 a.m. and will set at 5:33 p.m. Please remember, we are still in the hurricane season. Keep abreast with your weather information. Visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Join us next time for your next weather broadcast. Thank you.
To end the news, the headlines again. Pioneer pharmacist Anderson Jolly is dead at the age of 73. UNICEF launches global campaign to enhance child welfare, and International Diving Organization shower sprays on Dominica's underwater attractions. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNewsNov11th2k16. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Idona John-Baptist, and to all our viewers around the world, thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.